The thing to understand is that whatever relationship we have, the source of that relationship, the source of that person is the same as the source of me. We are all coming from the same source, and we all return back into that same source. The analogy that always makes so much sense to me, and I hope it makes sense to you, is the analogy of the ocean. All the waves that emerge from the ocean are recede back into the ocean. And because all the souls that have a physical appearance on planet Earth, they all come from the ocean, which we call source, and they all return into the ocean that we call source. So through the ocean, we are all linked, because the ocean is eternal. And when you understand this, you understand that you are eternal because you are part of the ocean, and everyone that you come into contact with is also exactly like you, an eternal being who is also going to recede back into the ocean. So those of you who have loved ones who have receded into the ocean while you are still present, it doesn't matter because you're still connected. The connection never goes away. Soon as you call on someone, soon as you think about someone, they become available to you through the ocean. Whether they are living or whether they are non-physical, whether they are physical or non-physical, they become available for you. In that moment, they are connected with you. And if they are non-physical, then they have access to all your thoughts. It's only when that other person is physical, then their inner being is aware of your thoughts, but their logical side is not aware of your thoughts. Because remember, we say this very clearly. Every thought is a prayer which is being heard by the universe. Well, what is the universe? The universe is source. And if your loved one receded into source, then your loved one is part of now source, and source is listening to every thought you think. So your loved ones are aware of every thought you are thinking, because they are now source. And soon as you think about them, that connection is like a phone call being made, where you are now communicating. And it's not just you thinking about them, they can also think about you. And when they think about you, you think about them. And when you think about them, they think about you. Because that connection never, ever, 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 ever goes away. Pam, I see you. Andrea, good morning. Jessica, Samuel, Tasneem, is that Lana, I think? I see your comment. Pam says, I feel like I need to apologize for some of those thoughts. Yes, you do. From a human perspective, you do, because the human perspective puts thoughts into piles of appropriate and inappropriate, right and wrong. But source does not do that. Even when you are being the most inappropriate, source still loves you, which means that your now non-physical loved one loves all of you. They love your tantrums and they love your happy moments. They want more happy moments for you, but they are devoid of judgment. The only reason we need to establish safe spaces here when we are having conversations is because we tend to judge. We tend to impose repercussions on our loved ones. You said that, I will never forget that, and wait till I have an opportunity to give you back that which you gave me multiplied by 10. We treat our loved ones with more repercussion than we do people who are strangers. Strangers, we don't really care. They can be inappropriate and we will forget about it. We will forget about them. But the reason we impose judgment and repercussions on people is because we actually care about them. Those are the people that we impose judgment and repercussions on, and we withdraw a little bit of love, because unless you give me what I want from you, I'm not capable of loving you. And that's how we separate ourselves from our inner being, because our inner being is part of that ocean that we call source, and our inner being never stops loving. Not for a second. There is no blip in the love. It is constant, and it is pure, and it is non-judgmental, unconditional, without any repercussions. That is the love of Source. So when we have a loved one who becomes part of non-physical, their love increases, because the part of them that was preventing them from loving us wholeheartedly is gone. They shed that when they emerge into non-physical. And when you call on someone who is now physical, you can call on them, you can connect with them, but the part of them that you are connecting with is the non-physical part of them, not the physical part of them. The physical part of them is holding on to the history of your relationship. The physical part of them is sometimes not aware of you, because maybe you don't actually know that person. For example, I'll give you my own example. I talk to my parents all the time. Well, my grandmother and my parents, I talk to them all the time. Well, I can do that because I knew them when they were physical, and I still know them now that they are non-physical. However, I also talk to Wayne Dyer. I also talk to Napoleon Hill. I also talk to Bob Proctor. I never knew them at a personal level. I've met them, well, not Napoleon Hill. I've met Wayne Dyer and Bob Proctor, but I didn't have an interpersonal relationship with them. I just got their autographs, that's about it. But I can still talk to them. In the same manner, there are some people who I look up to now in this physical framework that I can still call on for their help and their advice, because we are all connected through that ocean that we call Source. And so all our relationships are eternal, because we are eternal and we are part of the eternal energy that we call Source. And so is everyone else. So even that person that you thought was inappropriate is connected to you, is part of Source, is part of that energy that is never-ending, always present, all-powerful, which is the description in all religions across the world. That is the description of God. Whether that God is represented by fire, or by an effigy, or a statue, or whatever representation of that God is there, that is the description of that energy across the board. Religious teachers ask you to make peace before someone makes their transition. It is because when something is physical and we make our peace, it is more real to us than making peace with the non-physical. The thing that makes trust hard is the fact that we can't see God. We can't see the energy that we call source. We can't see it. We can feel it. If we allow ourselves to go deep enough, we can feel it. But we cannot decipher it with our five senses. And reality to us, unfortunately or fortunately, fortunate because that's what creates contrast, unfortunate because it prevents trust or is a hurdle to trust, is the fact that anything that you can touch and feel and see is more real. And that is why religious people say to make peace before someone transitions, because it's more real. It's more real. That's all. We were able to hear our own words. We knew that the other person has heard our words. We have seen the person. We have shifted our vibration, because when you have that conversation, your vibration shifts. And so it's just more real. That's why we call it closure.